To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Mr. Moreno.
Present.
Mr. Dadley.
Here.
Mr. Harney.
Here.
Mr. Thorne.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mr. Nimitz.
Here.
Okay, we've got a forum. We have got a meeting. We have also got the gubernatorial proclamation allowing us to once again to have remote access and remote attendance at the meeting. This evening, we do have one board member attending remote. That is Mr. Nimitz. We do have Mr. Steele, the village engineer, attending remote also. The rest of us are here at the village hall this evening. Votes will be by roll call, with Mr. Nimitz being remote. Get that out of the way first. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of August 1st, 2022. We have a motion.
So moved, Diatley. Second, Thorne.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Thorne, to approve the minutes of August 1st, 2022. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
The clerk has one correction. There was a typo, inadvertently called Mr. Thorne, Mr. Thorny.
It's going on a permanent record too, by the way.
I apologize. It's what happens when you go from Harney to Thorne. It's the type, my fingers just keep going Thorny, so I apologize. I've made that correction in a minute.
I feel that.
Change the looks. Okay, no other comments or corrections to the minutes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Datley.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The motion so passes. The minutes are approved. Thank you, gentlemen.
I just lost my feed.
We hear you, John.
We still see.
I know, but yeah, somebody kicked me out because I had to do something different here. So I'm no longer in the meeting. I can't tell what's going on. I know what John did.
Oh, yeah, he got it. Blame me, he got it.
I'm telling.
Thank you, John.
Are you back, Joe?
He is.
Okay. All right, now we'll continue with the meetings. We just finished approval of the minutes, and I was about to call for an amendment to the agenda to move the engineer report up to the current time spot. Move Mr. Steele on. He's attending this evening. He's got a message that he'd like to deliver to us in regards to the 2022 street program.
So moved, Brandon. Second, Diatley.
Moved by Moreno, seconded by Diatley to amend the agenda and move the engineer report up to the current time. Any further comments, questions, or discussion on the motion? Being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Nimitz.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Datley.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Motion so passes. We will amend the agenda and move the engineer's report up to the present time. Mr. Steele.
Evening, everyone. Thanks for moving me up. As you're aware, I think it was at the last board meeting, or maybe it was the one before that, is for the 2022 street program. Geske asphalt paving was awarded the contract. So basically, as I kind of expected, this is they are looking for an extension of time. This has to do with the operating engineers strike for the aggregate. Basically, as they were looking at the schedule and the supply of asphalt, and the realizing that they would be cutting it very close in regards to trying to get enough asphalt in order to pave the streets. So they're looking for a little bit of an extension time. They're going to try their hardest in order to get it in by that September 16th date, but they just wanted to make sure they crossed all their T's in order to make sure that everything was by the book. So basically just looking for board approval in order to accept the request for extension completion date.
We have a motion to so accept the request for the extension of the contract.
So moved. Second,
Moved by Harney, seconded by Diatley to accept the request from the contractors and extend the time limit or the deadline for completion of the road program this year from September 16th to October 31st, 2022. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
It will be done by then.
Yeah.
31st, we're hoping.
Yep.
That's, otherwise penalties kick in.
That's why my next question was going to be,
Yeah.
we have a penalty clause
Yes,
there.
we do.
Okay,
We're always chasing snowflakes when we start pushing into October.
yeah,
Don't the plants also shut
They
down
shut
around
down
then
when
too,
they-
right?
yeah, ground
Yeah.
well,
And like I said, is they're anticipating that they'll be able to get it done by September 16th, but they don't want to be rushing it and trying to get board approval before anything actually starts happening. So they're just making sure that everything is going to be all set and ready. So
No further comments or discussion? Roll call in.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Mr. Prano.
Aye.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Passes. Jeff, anything else?
nope, that's it. Anything else?
I don't believe anybody has anything for you this evening. So we thank you for your time and stopping in.
Sounds good. Have a good
Have a
night.
safe trip home.
Have a good night.
Take care. Okay, now back to the president's report. We've gone through the gubernatorial proclamation. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the fall edition of the newsletter. Do we have any comments, questions, or discussion concerning the fall newsletter?
I think we've all looked at it. I thought it was very nice, pretty good. Motion to approve the fall newsletter.
second,
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Thorne to approve the fall edition of the Legend newsletter. Yeah, any comments, questions, or discussion? concerning the fall newsletter? Wow, that sounded a lot like me.
You did.
Well, are there?
Nope.
If they're not, roll call, please.
Mr. Nimitz.
Aye.
Mr. Prano.
Aye.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
aye,
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so passes. The letter is approved. Thank you, gentlemen. That's it for me. We move to the clerk's report.
No report tonight.
Thank you, Tony. Planning and zoning. Ms. Detmer.
No report, just sitting in for the meeting.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Attorney's report. No attorney report this evening. The engineer has already presented his report. And moving right on along. Director of Finance, Mr. Van.
Request a motion for the approval of the warrant in the amount of $163,219.11.
got a question on that before we approve that.
Can we have a motion? For discussion.
Wait, motion or no?
Motion for discussion.
Okay,
So moved, Diatley. Second, Harney.
Moved by Deanne, seconded by Harney to approve the warrants of August 15th, 2022. Comments, questions, discussion. Now, George.
okay, we, last meeting, we approved for, was it Willow, almost $3,000 to fix their drainage problem. And then we also approved the $13,607 that were in the warrants for the hilltop with ponds for the driveway, correct? Okay, so what's the new ponds this month for $11,370?
That's the drainage over by Locust.
Which drainage is
That,
that?
that was approved a couple months ago. They finally completed the work that we were paying out of with ARPA funds. Is Locust and Sycamore area.
I don't remember that one,
Yeah,
because I saw the two ponds and I figured, whoa, what's going on here?
That's a long look.
I believe it's along Locust, yeah.
Is it Locust and like Hillcrest or Locust and Willow or what?
I believe it's Locust and Willow for this one.
What did they do there?
They have to replace a pipe.
Hey, Steve,
Yo, Joe,
Repair the
Was that the-
storm drain line.
before I left, there was
942
talk, Kyla talked about the project that's been going on for like 5 years with that house that washes on that we kept on deferring, saying it wasn't the highest priority from the southern Willow and Locust down the hill there and those two driveways that kept washing out. I think that was it. Was it that project? Because that sounds like they write them out in the right timing.
Eugene's got something here.
It's the 2022 contractual drainage repairs invoiced for 942 Willow Lane. It's for the stormwater drain line, repairing the stormwater drain line. That was the line that was decayed or whatever that needed to be replaced.
When did they repair that?
That was,
I don't remember seeing any repairs there. That's why I'm just curious as to when
it was done,
I
it
could buy it.
was done about 3 weeks ago on Monday. The driveway, they were gonna redo the driveway. They pulled out the old driveway. We jumped right in there and stuck the drainage in.
So the consumer paid for, the resident paid for the driveway,
The resident will pay for the driveway, right? We were having.
and what we do, just
We
replace
just
the,
put the drainage in from the manhole at the corner to the creek to the north.
okay, so it was from Willow up to the creek, up to the creek, right there, and it,
On Bull on Bull Run, right?
I have to look at it tonight.
Yeah, it was real quick. That, we got, a call that they were doing the driveway. And we had approved it.
Was that brought up at the meeting before though? Because I don't remember that for some reason. Maybe I was asleep that night.
No, it was brought up. It was,
Yeah.
kicked from one meeting to the next. And then we, found the funds and moved on it the next meeting.
Right. And this was what, in the spring or was that in June? Okay. I'll take a look at
Because
it.
it was, I was gonna say,
May I?
if you would, Ms. Detmer.
They applied for a permit for the driveway replacement. I believe it was back in May. And it was brought to the board's attention, I believe, in June, and it was moved. There weren't funds available, so those funds were approved the first meeting of July with no set time. And then I got a call that they wanted their base inspection. So I coordinated with Kyle and with Jeff, and they managed to get the contractor out there. Actually, it was the next day after I talked to Kyle, and they got it done. And then they put the dirt from that project across the street on Willow, which was brought up at the last meeting. So that's kind of the timeline along this whole project.
Okay. Yeah, because when I saw two ponds there, that concerned me because I was wondering where the heck is $11,000 coming from when we just approved the 13 last month or 2 weeks ago.
Right. And we had some left over, and that's why we left that other one until later.
Is that out of the ARP funds? The current ones are the ones that we're hopefully getting.
It's all the same.
Yeah, but we don't have, right now, it's funny money.
We got half of it, and the other half is coming.
Right, well, that's
And
what, we were
also-
talking about that today. I asked them earlier, and to me, that's funny money till we get it.
But we're not spent the money.
Okay,
We're just spending the money that we've got.
and we have that, what we have, that's what I just want to make
They've
sure.
given us half of that.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? If not, roll call.
Mr. Prano. Aye. Mr. Dattley. Aye. Mr. Hardy.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Hopkins.
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz.
6 affirmative votes and no negative votes. The motion so carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
The other item was the website. Everybody who I normally send the monthly reports to got a link to the preliminary site that I've been given access to that I can work on. I'm kind of learning the process and changing some of the stuff. However, there's my knowledge of a lot of the stuff is limited, like who are the members of the boards and committees and stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff is ancient. So I'm relying on you guys to point out what's wrong and bring it to my attention so I can fix it. And as you do, I will, we're supposed to go live on Friday, but if you get it to me before then, I will, get it fixed. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Eugene. Okay, next item is comments from the public. Got any want to sign up this evening? No? All right, thank you, John. Trustee reports, roads and parks, Mr. Harney.
Unless there's no objection from the board, I'd like to move up the final decision date for what we're going to do with Sabatino Park to the September 19th meeting. And I would also ask each board member if they would please get input. When you see families with young kids at the park, get their opinions on what equipment they would like to see there. But September 19th, Tony, if you put that on the agenda, if there's no objections for action, that'll be the drop dead date. Nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Finance, Mr. Hoffman.
Just a question that I had there, but another with just on it, some of the. It said we had a bill in there that said pump septic system on Hillcrest. Was that something of ours or was that a residence?
We're responsible for the tanks and the grinders and pumps.
Okay.
So when the pumps don't work, we go in and pump the tanks out.
Ours, you mean, for the village? Okay, not somebody else's. Okay.
No, not, if you've got a septic system, no, you've got to be on the pressurized village sewer system.
Okay. And I saw your note. We got the card. Everything I read. Do we have it physically now?
Yeah, we physically have a credit card without having to apply for it. And without anyone having to sign up for it or anything like that. As it turned out, got a call from our fuel supplier, our previous fuel supplier. And before I told him that we're no longer using his fuel, they said, well, we want to give you this MasterCard that you can use anywhere other than just our service station. And I said, send it our way. Nice.
Okie dokie.
So
All this time.
Who oversees that now, though? You'll
I have it.
Okay,
It's
you'll
in
have
my
it.
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody else needed it or whatever, you could.
They can come with me because like I said, it has my name on it.
Okay.
Can we borrow it,
Like I said, it has my name on it.
I think he's gonna be a little careful about who gives him that card.
Yes.
With also with Menards and some of those buildings there, we have, I guess we have an account with Menards.
Yeah.
Do we get a discount with them or is it just their 11%?
And that I'm not sure, but it's not a card. It's an account.
An account, business account? Yeah. Just gotta watch Menards. I mean. They're very seldom do they give sales anymore. I wonder if they give us discounts. It's all that 11% rebate, which they hope you never send in.
Right.
So that's why I wonder if we're looking at other options though too, like Home Depot. And the other is with Mavis. I see that we get a lot of work done there. But I saw a set of wiper blades. We're talking an area that I'm very familiar with. But we $35 or $38 for a set of wiper blades. I know they're expensive though, but what about advanced? Would it be better to go to Advanced Auto for something like that? And have an account? I even have an account at Advance that I get 20-25% off.
Check with Kyle.
Okay,
You know.
if not, I mean,
Police might have, you have an account with Advance?
You do? you get like 25% off in advance.
We don't use it that often. We use Mavis basically for our routine maintenance, oil changes, wiper blades, things like that. All the other stuff goes to the dealer because we have the warranties on the cars.
Yeah.
So we don't do a lot of the service through them. But I can check into
Okay.
what we have through advance.
There's just some things I see on a monthly basis. I just want to, I'm just curious and I'm asking. So,
Well, one thing you have to keep in mind is that when you're putting on wiper blades and stuff like that, you're now asking someone who is like a police officer to now be an auto mechanic.
And I can tell you that most of my police officers are not auto mechanics.
Not
Yeah.
that, not
How
that-
long it takes to change instead of wiper blades, about 45 seconds for both.
You have in front of my mic? Not
Everybody is
as technically savvy as, the next guy. And, there are some people that can build a house and there's other people that can turn a light switch on. And that's about it.
All right, I agree. Advance would install them for free though. Okay,
I'll check.
all right.
All right. Anything else, George?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you, George. Water and sewer, Mr. Nemec.
I know report.
Thank you, Joe. Police and public safety, Mr. Dietler.
Yeah, a couple things. Just a couple of reminders to start with. School starts tomorrow. So I ask everybody to watch out for kids, and I also ask parents taking their kids to school to drive safe and slow. So hopefully that will work on both accounts. So just that, the other thing, the police will be at the Dunkin' Donuts on Friday doing their fundraiser for Special Olympics. So we will have, I'm not sure if Chief's gonna be climbing up on the roof or somebody else. But stop by and visit them and grab a donut. And if you want to make a donation to the Special Olympics, that's certain, well, all donations would be welcome. So thank you for that. Chief, any other department updates you want to share or?
No, our current new part-time officer is still in training and they're moving along as we would expect. So
Okay.
things going well.
Would they have the sportsman be on the roof?
It was a lot asking Officer Edwards to stand out at National Night Out. It was hot. But he was a trooper. He did it the whole time.
Is that all they want?
We'll be out there from 5 in the morning until I think 1 in the afternoon is about when it ends.
That's a long day.
It's, yeah. Yeah, we changed the name back to Cop on Top this year.
So definitely stop by and say hi and see everybody. The other thing is in your packet, you'll notice that the chief did include a block party request form that we talked about. Do we need to have a motion on that or? I'd like to make a motion that we accept the block party request form submitted by the chief that could be used for residents and put out on the website.
Second.
Moved by Dietler, seconded by Thorne to approve the presented block party sample. Block party permit draft. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
I just noticed point number 6, it's in bold, the party must be off the street by dark. So I'm just thinking back in the old days, where I attended such a party, it was way past dark before the party ended. So is dark determined as sunset, or is it determined as like a not a time at night, or it's a little bit of a subjective thing.
Well, I can say that none of my people are gonna be going around with the almanac saying what time sundown is. But at some point it becomes dangerous to leave the streets closed when it's dark. We have no streetlights. Now, if the residents wanted to move off the streets and go into like the cul-de-sacs or something like that, then that would be fine. We have no issue with that. Provided there's no noise complaints or anything like that we have to deal with. But putting a time is hard because the time
No, I
it
understand.
moves, with calendars. So
You just mentioned something though, which I wasn't clear when I was saying it. But you said, because the one I attended at one time was in a cul-de-sac.
Mhm.
So there you're saying,
Off the street. You're in the cul-de-sac, if you're on the greens and someone in the cul-de-sac, you're off the street.
right, but if you're on the actual physical pavement of the street. Like on my own street, Stevens Court's cul-de-sac, we're down at the corner, or we're down at the end. And our chairs are set up, because we're talking or whatever. After dark, we can't have our chairs physically on the blacktop. We could be in the green, I'm just saying, we
From
could
a
be in
village
the,
standpoint, I wouldn't say that we would approve that, because then we're getting into liability if people sitting in chairs in the dark. I wouldn't recommend that. I would say we stick to what we have there, and then, you know, we can kind of play it by ear as it goes along. But yeah, I think just for safety purposes, you want to, if the people can move to the center islands, it'd be better for everybody.
I'm not disagreeing with the request, I'm just saying that I know we get questions.
Sure.
Did you just want to change it from dark to sunset?
No, that's fine, dark blue stay.
Because usually sunset hits, and then it's usually about a half hour later is when actually it's dark. A hunter, but
We can always go with navigation.
that might be as bad as trying to get the officers to change the weather plate, so.
Navigation.
With a sextant. What parties do you have?
We haven't had one this year. The reason this came out is because we did get a request in the spring, and I had gone to President Pickett and said, what's our process? And then we realized there really wasn't a process. So that was when I suggested we at least have a formalized process. We can put it on the website, and then everybody knows exactly, you know, what the requirements are.
They were coming to us asking, can we have them, we'd turn it over to the police, and then the police would come back and tell us, and then we tell them. Come on, let's see, let's get this streamlined.
Good idea. Motion to approve.
Didn't we have that?
We already have it.
Yeah.
We need to vote.
We're just doing the discussion. Comments at this point. Any further comments or questions, discussion? If not, roll call please.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes, and motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Anything else?
That is it, thank you.
Steve, thank you, Chief. Building and environment, Mr. Thorne.
No report, Mr. President.
Mark. Building and zoning, Mr. Moreno.
No report, sir.
Thank you, Anthony.
Could I ask just on something like that, Anthony, if I could add? I know our zoning, Barb, she was going over the zoning laws, correct? And the only reason I bring this up, we're bringing in that new, hopefully, business. That's going to be a banquet facility, bistro and all that. And I'm going to watch how I say this here, but there was an incident over in Lake in the Hills. I'm sure you're well aware of that, what went on there. And that incident over there, that a lot of that Lake in the Hills, the village itself, what it came down to when the ACLU got involved, it was the village that was actually, that had egg in their face. Because somebody, it was a business, and they started doing some things that would be considered outside of the business. And with that, the village just said, okay, let it go. And it then became the precedent. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then some other things happened and whatever. I mean, I could care less what they were. But I just followed the ACLU part of it and the liability. And at the very end, the village backed off and said, okay, you can do it. But it was really based on the village having allowed or set the precedent by saying, okay, you can, you know, even though it's not zoned this way, even though it's not approved, we let you do it. And when the ACL got involved, you know, all of a sudden the village went, whoa, we're not going to argue this. Go ahead, let them do it. So at this point, I'm not sure exactly where it's going. But as we look at the zoning, and I mean, I think every village has to really take a look at their zoning and just make sure that as this, again, this banquet facility that comes in, you know, just make sure that it's stringent enough so that, you know, you don't have a whole lot of stuff or maybe things starting to go on in the parking lot is what I'm saying. And because, I mean, it could, and the village could say, it's not going to hurt anything, you know, it's out in the parking lot. But then all of a sudden you've set that precedent like Lake in the Hills did. And now I guess they're backpedaling and having all kinds of, you know, challenges. And I don't know where it's going to lead from a legal perspective. I don't think it's done yet. So I'm not sure how many were familiar with it or followed it, but it made the headlines, it made the news, actually it made national news.
Yeah, I think that, and I'm familiar with that whole incident as well. I think that when there's a changes to the zoning text and to allow certain permitted use or special use, or when there is when planning and zoning needs to get involved in making a change, then that's somewhat of a broad category, right? Like we had said at the time, auto dealership. So we have a guy come in who's selling cars basically on the internet, not physically at the building. But it comes under that group. So if P and Z approves it and then it comes to the board at some point in the future, allowing for a banquet facility, then I think that our requirement is that we would at that point vote yay or nay for a banquet facility. I don't know what restrictions as a board we can put on the operations of that banquet facility or any facility. Let's take any current business in the village. If South Street decides to have a band perform on their patio space within the perimeters of their building, and they charge people to come and listen to music as a village, and I don't know, I don't believe as a village we can say no to that.
I agree there, and they're zoned for that type of, possibly that type of entertainment or whatever you want to call it. This was not, this was a bakery.
No, I
It
understand.
was a
that part, but
bakery. They
regardless
had
of the
no,
rate-
Well,
And
part
this-
of this though, guys, is why we have the process that we've got. There is, right now, these people will come to the village with an application for a banquet. And then they will go through the P and Z. P and Z's already approved it. So it's already on the books. They will come to us with it, and then we will ask the questions, and they have to satisfy us.
and the only thing I would say is that there's something written in the zoning or whatever, it could be done very easily by just saying no outdoor entertainment will be permitted with any type of these facilities.
When the ordinance
And-
comes out for you.
Because you got neighbors over there and all that, and it just, it just opened up some eyes, and
Part of the conversations that we're having with these people, right?
and I know there's other villages within Kane County that are having that discussion right now, even though that was McHenry, that are already having that discussion so that they don't have the same thing happen down the line. Because the village went into panic mode when the ACLU got involved. So just some future, FYI that, could protect ourselves, and it may never ever happen, but it's there if it does. It's all.
Okay. I haven't seen her. Okay. It's unusual. I know sometimes she tries to hit West Dundee's, and because they have a meeting in East Dundee, that all three of us at the same time, the same evening, so. Old business, any old business come before the board? The one item I do have on old business, to move with the mayor event. How's that coming? How's that coming along? Well, I'll tell you guys, we all stay regular with the oatmeal and. No, the move with the mayor event is, I'm going to try and have that October 2nd or October 9th. Those are Sundays. The second will be the first choice, the 9th will be the rain. So I'm trying to work with those, that idea. They said it'll probably be something like 8 to 10 or 8 to 11, something like that, Sunday morning. Okay, doke. Any no other old business come before the board? Is there any new business to come before the board? Could I just emphasize, please talk to the residents with young kids when you see them at the park, looking around. this group, I don't think any of us have any toddlers in the house, so. It's an input.
Oh,
I'm over there all the time. I'm over there all the time with my granddaughter.
it's never too late for a happy childhood.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nimitz.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes. We are adjourned. We will see you on Tuesday, September 6th.
That's right.
Because the first Monday in October is,
Labor Day.
it's a holiday for us. See you on the 6th.
No one has ever afraid that the emotion of the church since I've been here.